Hello everyone, welcome to Glitchtale Theory. So I've been meaning to make this video for a while because I feel like a lot of animosity can be pieced together by now, just from what we publicly have today. Also to make sure everyone is on the same page as me on the Glitchtale Discord Theories channel. But after the trailer was announced, I decided I should wait for that to be released, hoping it would back up some of my theories. And it actually did. So today, we'll be taking everything we know just from the live animation streams, the 3 music tracks for the episode, the scenes from the trailer, and context clues left by people who've been behind the scenes. Spoiler warning, we do dive into some major confirmed stuff here, so while we'll get into more speculative stuff later, there are some stuff that are solid facts in here. Still here? Okay, here we go. So like previously mentioned before, there are 3 OSTs, or original soundtracks, I feel like a lot of people didn't know that, for this episode. We've got Embodiment of a True Hero by Nyx the Shield, I've Come This Far by Rush Garcia, and Ascended by Amela. We can instantly tell just by watching part 1 of this episode who will be in these 3 fights. Part 1, you may ask? Yes, the last episode, Hate, is actually Animosity Part 1, but the name was changed. And while I really love that Camila did that, it's integral to remember what the episode actually is when theorizing. Each episode has a focus and a point behind it, but part 1's only achieve half a point. Let's start by summarizing everything we know about each battle. Embodiment of a True Hero is going to feature Undyne, obviously, Ronin, Rave, and Battalion 2 against Kumuzilla. Yes, that's the official name for the giant blob. Hate shows us that Rave plans to bring the Avalon to the park. You may wonder what the Avalon is. Well, according to Cammy, the Avalon is the device held at both safe zones, the arena and the school, ready to create a powerful green wall around them whenever, while also creating large amounts of magical energy. Moving this to the park and setting it to max power would definitely lure Kumuzilla away from the school, or Toriel's Academy for Gifted Youngsters. Nice one, Cammy. Of course, Rave didn't really know what to do after that until he ran into Undyne, who evaporated a freaking building. Yep, sounds like someone you'd want on your side. And from what we've seen in the streams, and in the new trailer, the plan seems to be working. Rave uses the Avalon to trap Kumuzilla in a giant bubble shield, leaves a hole in it to have Undyne throw her Spear of Justice straight into it and blow it up. Ronin, Rave, and Battalion 2 dealing with the blobs that are separate from Kumuzilla. Sounds easy, right? Well, after a discussion with co-writer Veer, Undyne isn't as invincible as we thought. We were discussing the comparison between Undyne and Chara, and to quote Veer, Chara has an unlimited battery. As long as he holds on to his determination, he has an infinite amount of power. But that doesn't mean his body can infinitely exert that power. It's like having a gun with unlimited bullets. However, Undyne's battery does have a limit, but her body can much more easily handle that power because she's literally killing herself to use it. You heard that right. There is indeed a consequence to Undyne using determination. We can already see this foreshadowed by Love. Undyne was so unbelievably tired from that fight. It wasn't just because it was getting late, my friends. Determination was actually taking a toll on her body. And using it again is actually killing her. I asked Veer once again to make sure I understood that right, asking if there was going to be consequences to her using determination against Kumuzilla. Maybe you'll see in this episode. Moving on to the next song, I've Come This Far. This battle is ultimately going to be my favorite battle of all time, featuring Chara versus HATE Asriel. Chara and Asriel are the best characters. You can't change my mind. So we all remember what happened back in Timeline 1. Toriel, Asgore, and Chara all went back to their home. Because remember, they have all been staying over at Gaster's lab since episode 3. They grabbed Asriel's locket from his drawer, because he took it off for some reason. While Toriel and Asgore were distracting Betty, Chara went to fight Asriel in attempts to save him. However, seeing Chara hold up the locket only made Asriel angrier. Like, Chara, what the heck? You said you don't care about such a stupid thing, and now you're expecting me to? Just stop talking. Just shut up! So Chara went back in time through determination and left the locket there for Asriel. So now when Chara does that exact same thing, Chara will pull out his locket too. And instead of immediately being angry, we'll stop to think about it. However, this isn't where it ends. From the streams, we can see that instead of him breaking free, the hate starts to cover him until he's been fully darkened. And this is not a foreign concept. Every single time a corrupted person is close to being saved, the hate begins to cover their bodies. The hate is increasing its influence, and it shows heavily. From then on, Asriel begins to criticize Chara for everything they did in the past, specifically the plan. What plan? Well, we know from Undertale that Chara's plan involved poisoning themselves with buttercups, having Asriel absorb their soul, and then using his body to kill humans in order to save monsters from the underground. Asriel was never on board with it from the start, but Chara continued to push, peer pressuring Asriel into going through with it anyway, until it got to the point where Asriel had to murder humans, and Asriel refused to let it happen, and they both ended up getting killed. You can imagine how badly that affected Asriel, who ended up doomed as a soulless flower, unable to feel love until he was forced to kill for satisfaction, something he hates about himself more than anything else, all because of Chara. Yeah, Asriel has every right to be pissed about that. You know it's bad when your lightning bolts are freaking bigger than Thor's. However, what comes down to hurting Asriel the most is that Chara forced him to watch him die. Now, I know that's a crazy thought. You were literally just doing everything you could to kill him. Except, was he though? In Undertale, whenever Asriel tries to kill you, you just undie. Chara even does it back in Season 1 after Sans kills him. Asriel knows this all too well. Asriel's intention was never to kill Chara, but to make them feel pain like never before, knowing they can take everything he throws at them. You may point out that Asriel killed Chara in Timeline 1, but it's my belief that Asriel had no intention to do so, and was expecting him to get right back up, but Chara had given up at that point. If you pay close attention, you can see the red in his eyes fade back to his genetic brown color. He wasn't determined enough to keep going. After Asriel said all that stuff, he was sure he failed and that there was no hope. Finally, let's talk about Ascended for a second. This battle here is crazy. This is where I was starting to get speculative because this battle is 12 minutes long and it was supposed to be longer. What the frick? And from what I've heard from the Diamonds, Cammy's lackeys, who she shows everything to, the streams only show like a fifth of this battle? Even so, this battle is what tells us the most about the episode. That by the time of this battle, Kumuzilla is dead, and Betty is actually dying. But first, let's recap the basic stuff. In the trailer, Betty says, "You've got me trapped in a chain," but a chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and the show her immediately going for Papyrus. Don't underestimate my buddy Papyrus, he can hold his own. The three skeletons just bash Betty over and over, and as you can see from the trailer, she can't even touch them. And that's when we see the hate begin to show. Ooh boy, this hate tells us a lot. You may have noticed the hate has been missing in action for a while. That's because Betty has been overpowering it. The blobs were essentially her magic reserve, collecting countless human souls from around the city. Those blobs are now one big blob, known as Kumuzilla, meaning the only way the hate could overpower her is if that magic reserve was destroyed. Not only does that ensure us that this battle's place in the timeline in the end of the episode, but this hate also means that Betty is in serious trouble. Camila has pointed out multiple times that Betty needs magic to survive. If they run out of magic, they die. And we can tell Betty is running out of magic by two things. Her bright pink text duels when she's weakened. We can see this when Betty powers up in My Promise, and the dual text brightens up as she regains her strength. The second is hate. As Cammy once told me, and as shown in Game Over, Betty can heal on her own. She only relies on the hate to heal when she's running out of magic, which means in love, Betty was on the brink of death. Frisk was actually really close to ending everything, and you also may be able to notice every time Betty is losing and the hate begins to take over, she runs away. Undyne runs away. Frisk runs away. And if you've seen the streams, Betty tries everything she can do to run away in this battle too. She blows up a building to try and escape, but Papyrus just runs through it. It's quite obvious to see where this is going. Fighting will only make the hate stronger. Running away isn't an option. The hate will only continue to get stronger until it inevitably takes over, because I promise you, Betty is not getting away. And this is just one thing I was able to speculate from these streams. Now let's talk about what Ascended really means. Papyrus and Sans both get their powers from Gaster. When Sans died, Gaster got a power boost, hence duality. And as you can see from Game Over, when Sans wakes up, Gaster is back to having his red eye, meaning that Sans is no longer connected to Gaster and instead running entirely off of his own determination. While it's cool that Sans will get to witness duality, it also means that Sans is on a serious magic limit, which is extremely bad for monsters because their bodies are made of magic. Sans existing is already killing him. The more magic Sans uses, the closer he is to death. So when Sans does stuff like this, then you know he's dying this episode. And such has already been confirmed by Cammy multiple times in many ways, so you know, it's coming. But what if I told you that Papyrus will be joining Sans in his eternal rest? Papyrus's character arc can be summarized in the first scene of Hate, which, remember, was actually supposed to be the first scene of Animosity. Papyrus knows that everyone doubts him, and doesn't consider him fit to be included. Papyrus desperately wants to make an effort to prove himself, hence his fight and game over. It's clear that even after his failure to keep his promises, he's still not giving up on his mission, and is now heading to Betty, who even the strongest can't handle. And by killing Papyrus, Betty would have unleashed Gaster's polychromatism, hence the name Ascended. So you see, if my speculation is correct, then Ascended isn't only referring to Gaster, but Betty as well. But I mean, I'm probably wrong about everything I just said, so just remember, that's just a theory. A glitch.